And you see by the dawn's early light.
I'd like to ask the Gaston County Veterans Council Chairman Michael Meeks to come forward for a special presentation to a couple of our World War II veterans.
I'm not a speaker, so I don't know.
It's on.
Before I get started, I want to tell you a little bit about what I do in Gaston County. I run a veteran release fund out of Gaston City Crisis Center.
Okay, you gotta put it up.
Okay, I run a veterans relief fund out of Gaston City Crisis Center. So what I do, I help veterans that's in need for food, mortgage payments, light bill, water bill, clothes, just somebody to talk to. And we spent most of the day, myself and Travis Page and 3 judges, I don't really know their names. We went to Cobb County yesterday at the Veterans Court. And we're trying to get one started. Well, we're not going to try. We're going to have one started here, hopefully to kick off in January, February. And that's a great thing. Instead of locking the veterans up for drugs, DUI, they go through a 5-week program process. And this guy yesterday, he just finished up his 5th program, and he spent 465 days in the program. And so he got a certificate and a $50 gift certificate. And he said, one of the things he said, when he met his wife 35 years ago, he was a drunk. He said during that whole marriage, he was a drunk. And yesterday was his anniversary, and he said his wife looked at him and said, "You're not drunk." And so the program really helps instead of locking the veterans up. It's a nice program, and hopefully we get it here in Gastonia on January, February. So if you know any veterans who need help, they can send me an email, MikeMeeks49@yahoo.com. Jack, have my number. I'm with, if you got a 6-7 months behind on your mortgage payment, I'm the man to talk to. I can get you caught up in less than 20 minutes. All you need is the DD-214. Okay, so I'm ready to recognize these 2 heroes here, and they look at me like, shut up, come on. This one is for James Lewis Crawford. And it says, Gaston County Veterans Council, we appreciate our veteran, James Lewis Crawford, United States Army, 2 years. Chairman Mike Meeks. Thank you very much. I might keep the cap. Okay, this one is for Herman, his brother. Am I right? Herman? Yeah. I don't want to make you baby. Okay. United States Army, 2 years. Thank you very much. Veterans on your feet. Present arms. Order arms.
Next on the program, we'll have some veterans remembrances. And Sergeant Fred Glenn served in the United States Army for 3 years. He served as a firing director's center plotting targets for the artillery guns. He was also a helicopter door gunner known as the shotgunners in Vietnam. And he serves on the board of Veterans Foreign War Board, and he's a member of the American Legion, the Vietnam Helicopter Association, and a member of the United States Drill Sergeant Association. He served, as I said before, in Vietnam and also as a drill instructor at Fort Bragg. So at this time, you better pay attention. Here comes Sergeant Drill Instructor Fred Glenn.
The traffic coming out of Charlotte that we blew. So excuse us because I'm late. But we are here. It's May or it's in November. I tell you, Anyway, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Air Force Admiral and Marine. My name is Fred Wilson Jr. I was born and really raised on the side of the mountain over there in the base of the South Fork River at a little village called Baltimore Village just a few years ago. I was asked to share my story with you. And as I opened the window to retrieve some of the stuff out of there to share with you, bear with me because a lot of it started to rush out. And I've written down some things to try to stay on track. As I retrieve some of the stuff, other stuff will try to piggyback off of my thoughts. And as they try to piggyback off of them, so I've written down some things to try to stay on track. So bear with me. In World War I, it was a machine gun. In World War II, it was a tank. In Vietnam, it was a Huey helicopter. Tim McGraw made a song sometime back, and some of the lyrics went like this: that he didn't want to wake up looking at someone else's eyes. Another voice calling him baby on the other end of the phone. Only God knows where we're going. The song was called Shotgun Rider. Today we're going to be talking about a different shotgun rider. We were called the dough gunners. We were called shotgunners, and they trained us to be dough gunners. We were the original dough gunners that went to Vietnam by the 25th Division. We took our training, our gunner training, on the island of Oahu in Hawaii. In our training barracks, they had a mirror of a stagecoach. An old stagecoach driver was going along and had those horses ears pinned back, and on his hat was pinned back. To the right of him was a shotgun rider with a double barrel shotgun. And he was fending off whatever was pursuing. That's where the shotgun came from. And we became the shotgun rider on a Huey helicopter. We took our training on the island of Oahu, and they would pick us up on the beaches and fly us up into the mountains. And we have 55-gallon drums all down through the valley, and we would come down through there, and the pilots would say, you know, you had your head helmet off, and the pilots would say, gunner, enemy at 1 o'clock. So we would fire at 1 o'clock. Enemy, gunner, enemy at 5 o'clock. We would fire at 5 o'clock, enemy at 3 o'clock. It went on so forth, so on and so on. And we took our jungle training. We had to trap and kill the mongoose, eat the mongoose. They taught us how to get water out of a banana tree, plants out of the plants of the banana tree, what not to eat, what you could eat, vegetation in the jungle. So that was just part of our training to make the shotgun program. I was in shotgun 11, assigned to shotgun 11. But anyway, August of 1965, in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, they loaded us up at Schofield Barracks and drove us down to Hickam Air Force Base to load up on a C-124. And when we got down there, in the middle of the night, this huge cargo plane, about 50 feet tall, and about 120, 30 feet, 40 feet long. It was a big double-decker, and the front of it was open up. It was open up, and it had a lamp, and you would look up in there, it was tanks, different equipment up in the belly of it. And we were gonna be on the second floor of this plane. And we unloaded our gear off the trucks and started loading it up into the plane. Our airman walked by and started laughing. He said, y'all going on whole shape. We looked at him and we wondered what the world is he talking about. But daybreak came, and we took off. I knew exactly what he meant. That thing shook and rattled. It was like a bunch of skeletons pitching a shindig on a tin roof. We're talking about the most noisiest thing that I've ever heard. And we took off and we island hopped. We island hopped. Midway, Wake, Island, Guam, Philippines, and then to Vietnam. And the reason we were island hopping, this huge cargo plane, is like we got on the plane and I walked up there and talked to the pilot, you know, and they was explaining how the plane was actually dynamically what he was supposed to fly like the bumblebee. You know, the bumblebee had this huge body, you know, little wings, and mathematically, it thought he was supposed to fly. But then we got to tell the bumblebee that it was supposed to fly. And this plane was huge and had the wing had 4 big prop engines on it. And it only flew about 300 miles an hour. So you would have to stop and get fuel and Wake out, Midway, Guam, Philippines. But when we got to the Philippines, we got in there about 1 o'clock in the morning, went to a consolidated mess there at the air base, and we loaded up on the plane again in the Philippines, and we started to take off. And the aircraft taxis down the runway, and we started to take off. I was sitting there at the window, and I looked at the engine, and grabbed them up. The exhaust would turn red hot, and then would turn white hot, and we started to take off. And when we started to take off, a big puff of smoke, the engine, a big loud noise, boom, like that. And we looked out the window, the prop stopped, smoke started coming out the engine. I said, they want to kill us before we get to Vietnam. So we taxied back around, and we was there about a half a day. They worked on the engine. I was a little leery about getting back on that plane. But anyway, we took off, and we finally got to Vietnam. When you're flying at high altitude, and you're in a plane that doesn't have no heat, so you're sitting up in there with a blanket on you. And when you come down, we landed in Ton Son, there, Saigon, and when we landed, the front of that plane opened up, and the ramp went out, and you could look out, and it looked like a river of heat. There was fighters out there, planes out there, but you couldn't tell what they were, you could only see a silhouette of something. And that heat rushed up in there and grabbed us by the throat and said, welcome to Vietnam. I said, man, what in the world have we gotten ourselves into? But anyway, as we walked off the plane, loaded up, they were dispersing gunners to all the different helicopter units in Vietnam, because we were the original dough gunners in Vietnam, trained to be dough gunners. I was assigned to the 118th Assault Helicopter Unit in Bien Hoa. So as I got to Bien Hoa, and we got into the unit, what was disturbing to me, here we are newbies, and when we got there, guys started asking me for, look, that necklace you have on, I like to have it. Will you will it to me? And I said, what? He said, that watch. I said, did you sign this? Anything happen to you, I like to have that watch and that necklace. And then also we have a kitty, and every month we put money in that kitty, and if you get shot, you get the money. And if you get killed, you don't go watch. What in the world, what are y'all talking about? And after I've been there for a while, when the newbies come in, I was doing the same thing. That necklace you have on your neck, nigga, I like to have it. If you sign your papers, I like to have that watch. Because The life expectancy of Dogon in Vietnam was 2 weeks. The life expectancy of a firefighter on Dogon was 7 to 10 seconds. I had no idea until we had gotten out of that, but they didn't tell us that. But anyway, that's why there was a wheel. We had that wheel and that kitty to throw apart. But anyway, we're gonna move on, and I like to, we were operating with all the different units. The assault helicopters, 118 assault helicopter out of Benoit, we operated with the 25th Division, dropping the lightning. Thank you, 25th, Coochie. I know you guys out there. You ever seen the movie Platoon? That's those guys. Platoon. Out there in 25th Division. 173rd Airborne, Special Forces, Commandos. Commandos always dressed in black. Also, there were mercenaries fighting there too when we got there in 1965. They called Chinese Stud. When they got on the ship, I went, oh, that's who are these guys? With the commandos, they say they're mercenaries, they fight with us. Also, South Korea and Iraq Marine, fierce fighters. They never kept any prisoners. You never saw those guys in the prison. You ask them, and the interpreters say, because they're in the field. They didn't take no prisoners, because they're in the field. The Aussies from Australia, one with the hat turned up on the side. South Vietnam Army, called Army, the Army of the Republic of Vietnam. South Vietnam Rangers, operating there. Take them to the bush. That's the only way you're going to get into the jungle. You had to go by helicopter up in the mountains, Central Highlands with Special Forces. With the 25th Division, platoon with the 25th Division, Big Red 1, and the first Cav, and Mel Gibson. If you ever seen him, the soldier, that was up there. If you ever seen Apocalypse Now, that was Special Forces up there with Marlon Brando with the Mountain Guard. Speaking of the Mountain Guard, when we would go up in the mountains, up in those Central Highlands, on the Special Forces work with those people up there. So they were very primitive people. Like it was something like off the Amazon down there. Because when we got up there, they had crossbows. You saw them with crossbows, and the men had their ears cut out and hung down on their shoulders. It was something like you would see off in the Life magazine, something 100 years ago. And the women, they were bare-breasted. But they were fierce fighters. They trained with the Special Forces. But now I'd like to take you on a mission. And we're not going to be here long. I tell you, like, this stuff started right coming out of this window. Piggybacking off these thoughts. I'm trying to stay on the point. What I'd like for you to do is close your eyes for just a second. About 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, someone touch you on your shoulder, and you wake up, there's a flashlight in your face. Now you can open your eyes. There's a flashlight in your face, and someone say, we gotta go. So you pick up your gear, get on the deuce and a quarter, or your 5 giant. We're going down to the flight line. We're going to load up. Start loading up your machine gun and all the ammo and stuff that we've got to put on the ship. Our backup weapon, our survival kit. Because if you go down out there in the jungle, you're going to need a survival kit. Okay, now the pilots are already down there checking out this aircraft. So we go in and get the orders of what we're going to be doing during the day. It's going to be a big search and destroy mission. On this one mission, there was about 60 to 70 helicopters involved in this big one mission. So we're going to pick up the 25th. We're going to take them to the bush, out to the bush, the landing zone. We were there, the Thunderbirds, the Blue Tail, 2nd Platoon, The first platoon, the Scorpions were there with a Scorpion on their ship. We had a Whitebird on our ship. Okay, the Sock Train Tigers were there. They had the Tigers on the front of their ship. The Mohawks were there with their Tomahawk on their ship. The Sabres were there with the Cross Sabres. The Playboys were there with their ship, with the Brass Bunnies on their ship. We had got orders that it was going to be a hot LZ. That means it's going to be a hot landing zone. A charter was going to be in there real thick. So then gunners, be sure that you pay attention. So we took off, picked up the 25th Division, and we came into the LZ. We always flew stagger. A ship here, a ship here, a ship here, a ship here. When we got to the LZ, we trailed, what we call trail. Whoever find the lead ship, we'll follow them into the LZ to landing zone. We could hear the transmission that was going off when the ship was taking on fire. We always had smoking aids, pipe smoking aids on our post. When a ship comes through, you receive a fire. You take a smoking aid and throw it out. A white smoking aid, the ship behind you, I know that the Charlie is firing us and we come to the LZ. When we were coming into the LZ, I could see them when they were shooting at us. And I could see them, I threw a smoke out, so the ship behind me, I know the Charlie's in here. It's right in. So when we got to the LZ, the B-52s had already been there bombing, carpet bombing. The cradles, we could always put our ship almost into the cradles. But in this particular day, the water had come up in the cradles already, and we couldn't land. So the guys with about 60 pounds of gear on them, they had to jump off in the water, getting stuck in the water. And the pilots, we were taking on so much fire, that the pilot said, Gunner, get them off. Gunner, some of the guys didn't want to get off, so we had to push them off. And by that time, a water went off in the LZ, and the ship that came beside us, it came like it was about to hit us. And when we took off, they hit us. When they hit us, the whole ship started to rally. And the pilot said, Mayday, 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 Blue Tail Eagles hit, Mayday. And let me tell you something, brothers and sisters. I have never been that scared in my life. Because as the ship started to shake, and like it's about to come apart, and I knew I said, we go in those trees, ain't no way in heck that we survive there. It'd be like an egg beat up there. So the pilot was rousing with the ship to get it up over the trees. And he got up over the trees, I said, and he started to go down to crash. We were mandatory. We had to wear a armor plate, 1-inch armor plate with Velcro on our chest, and a flight jacket came over the Velcro. I thought it was a cat, almost. But anyway, I thought my heart was gonna bust through that armor plate. And I don't know why I thought about this. A guy owed me $35, and he had already been shot. And I was wondering if I want to get my money back. As we were going down to crash, and there was another place I used to hang out in Belmont over there, and I was wondering what in the world were they doing where they haven't even fun. I was wondering what were they doing at the little spot we used to hang out as teenagers. I don't know why that would cross my mind. I wasn't going to get my $35 back, and I wondered what was happening in Belmont. But anyway, we crashed, the chopper crashed into and bust the whole front out. We had our gunship, Advantage. That was our gunship, Advantage. We had a couple of them to come fly cover for us. We had to we got our weapons off and started firing into the tree line. Another slick came in, picked us up. We got as much stuff off the ship as we could, and then we took off. Folks, I'm a close this because there's so much stuff I can tell you. We take so much for granted in this country. We live in the greatest country in the world. And we take so much for granted. We take so much for granted. You can walk up to the wall, turn on the light, it comes on. Turn on your faucet, good clean water come out. If you're hot, turn on the air conditioner. get caught up on a whole lot of stuff, or stuff that don't have no value to it. Drive off from the fast food place and look at the hamburgers, somebody look at the hamburger and have a cheeseburger. They forgot to put pepper, forgot to put pickles on my hamburger. Then you turn around. See, when you turn around, how would you like to be somewhere and don't even know what day it is? Not even know what day it is. You didn't have to go out that day, or you came in early, and the chaplain shows up with a cross on his helmet, and somebody said the day must be Sunday. And then you go down there, you sit down there, and you listen, you pray. We had a slogan. We know we're going to heaven. We've been to hell. We had a slogan. Guys, that was our slogan. But we know we're going to hell. But we've been to hell. But anyway, I just want to close with that. As I got back, I got orders to go to the drill sergeant school in Fort Hill, Alabama. And I came back to Fort Bragg. They had turned the old 87 L wanted to do the USATC, United States Army Training Center. The draft was big then. In 1966 and 1967, the draft was big. We would get the guys in there that didn't want to be. I said, if you're in this man's army, it's up to me and some of these other drill sergeants here to try to get you, train you that you'll survive Vietnam, because you're going to Vietnam. So, folks, it's been trying to keep myself together here. It's been a pleasure to share a part of my story. That just a little bit. But in an ant colony, they have an army in an ant colony. They call them soldiers, defending off enemy of the colony. On this big ant colony, in the ant colony, they have soldiers that are also workers too. They are soldiers and they are workers. But on this big ant colony that we live on called Earth, we are the workers and we are the soldiers. So may God bless you, and may God bless this country. Thank you.
Person Browning, who is going to render taps in honor of all our veterans living and deceased.